करना चाहते हैं हम लोग। हेलो ऑल ऑफ यू, आई वेलकम यू ऑल ऑन योर वेरी ओन यूट्यूब चैनल मनोज जांगरे क्लासेस। और आज की क्लास में हम लोग बात करेंगे इवैल्यूएशन एंड पॉलिसी एनालिसिस ऑफ एलपीजी पॉलिसी। इवैल्यूएशन करेंगे एलपीजी पॉलिसी का स्ट्रिक्टली एज पर एनसीईआरटी। तो अगर आपको यहाँ पर कुछ काफी सारी चीजें, कुछ नहीं कहूंगा मैं, I'll say 90 to 95% data is taken from NCERT only. तो ये टोटली एनसीईआरटी पे बेस्ड है। लेट्स टॉक अबाउट दी। अच्छा, यहाँ पर सेक्टर वाइज सारी की सारी चीजें गिवन है, ऐसा नहीं है कि एक साथ सारी चीजें गिवन है। सो लेट्स टॉक अबाउट द एडवर्स इफेक्ट ऑफ न्यू इकोनॉमिक पॉलिसी ऑन एग्रीकल्चर। So agricultural growth rate decreased around 2 to 3% per annum in India during the reform period. Public investment in infrastructure development such as irrigation, power, roads decreased. Now you people must understand this thing कि अगर आप इन सारी चीजों में डिक्रीमेंट करते हो, रिडक्शन करते हो, then definitely somewhere the production of agriculture, like in of primary sector, will also reduce, because all such things are related to each other. आप चाहे इरिगेशन की बात करें, पावर की बात करें, रोड्स की बात करें, so if the expenditure will be reduced by the government, then definitely the production will also remove. Another thing which is very very important, which I have already highlighted here, that is removal of fertilizer subsidy affected the small farmers and marginal farmers. Their cost of production increased because of removal of this subsidy which they were getting earlier from the government से पहले सब्सिडी मिल रही थी, and I hope you people know this thing very well, that it is the payment which is made by the government to the producers basically. So producers के लिए एक तरीके से ये ट्रांसफर इनकम होती है, उसके बाद वो उसको कम प्राइस पे आगे बेचते हैं, जो भी सारी चीजें होती हैं. सो दिस इज द इम्पैक्ट ऑन एग्रीकल्चर सेक्टर व्हिच आई एक्सप्लेन्ड इन योर प्रीवियस क्लास एज वेल, जो मेरिट्स और डीमेरिट्स के बेसिस पे हमने ली थी. ये एनसीईआरटी के अकॉर्डिंग है भाई. रिडक्शन इन इंपोर्ट ड्यूटी and the removal of import quota resulted in the arrival of foreign agricultural goods to our market, to our own country. Because of that, the demand for our goods decreased, and the same thing is happening right now in electrical goods as well. The Chinese manufactured goods and services are basically arriving in India, and the producers are establishing their own companies here in India. And the domestic companies are not able to compete with such kind of brands, and they are somewhere disappearing from the market. You can take the example of Lemon Mobiles, Lava Mobiles, Micromax is somewhere it reintroduced it, some of the mobiles, but slowly and gradually these companies are disappearing. Removal of minimum support price made by the made the farmers vulnerable to the market risk. So जो MSP था, that was removed by the government, and it made the situation of farmers more vulnerable. Vulnerable मतलब कि यहाँ पर कुछ फिक्स नहीं है, कुछ स्टेबिलिटी नहीं है, कुछ सिक्योरिटी नहीं है. Another point is farmers were encouraged to produce cash crops for export market. It resulted in the increase in prices of food grains. अब यहाँ पर अगर आप ज्यादा कैश क्रॉप प्रोड्यूस करेंगे फॉरेन मार्केट्स के लिए, तो अपने जो खुद के लिए आप खुद की डिमांड जो है फूड ग्रेन्स की, who will produce those goods and services? So because of the production of cash crops, the basically the price of food grain increased in Indian market. तो खुद के लिए वो सारी चीजें इंक्रीज हो गई हमारे लिए. These are the adverse effect of new economic policy on agriculture. एग्रीकल्चर को किस तरीके से इम्पैक्ट किया. This is the another point, all of you. In this point we'll be talking about industrial growth. यहाँ पर हम बात करेंगे इंडस्ट्रियल ग्रोथ की. तो अगर यहाँ पर हम बात करें इंडस्ट्रियल ग्रोथ की, इफेक्ट ऑफ न्यू इकोनॉमिक पॉलिसी ऑन इंडस्ट्रियल ग्रोथ, क्या क्या हुआ, लेट्स टॉक अबाउट दैट. सो इंडस्ट्रियल ग्रोथ slowed down in India during the reform period. Demand for our industrial products decreased due to arrival of foreign goods, बाहर की cars, बाहर के products, and the quality of all those foreign goods were like it was very good, and we were not able to compete or we were not able to produce that kind of quality products at that time. Because of that, the demand for industrial products, domestic products decreased. Now our markets are open for foreign goods. However, developed countries have not opened their markets for our goods, and this is the case with the US till now. चाइना वगैरह आज भी इस तरीके की चीजें जो हैं वो फॉलो करती हैं, हमें जो है दूसरी इकोनॉमीज में, अपनी इकोनॉमीज में, अपने मतलब डोमेस्टिक गुड्स को सेल नहीं करने देती, रिस्ट्रिक्शंस लगा देती हैं. तो दिस इज वन ऑफ द प्रॉब्लम. रिडक्शन इन पब्लिक इन्वेस्टमेंट इन इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चरल फैसिलिटीज आल्सो अफेक्टेड इंडस्ट्रियल ग्रोथ. सो वी ऑल नो दैट हाउ इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर इंपॉर्टेंट इज, चाहे वो सोशल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर हो, चाहे वो इकोनॉमिक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर हो. Both the things are very much required for the growth of primary, secondary and tertiary sector. तीनों के लिए जरूरी है. And this is the point which I explained in agriculture sector as well, that government reduced the expenditure on power generation, roads, irrigation facilities, even though irrigation facilities indirectly impact the industrial growth as well, because अगर आपको farmers से जो goods नहीं मिलेंगे, raw material नहीं मिलेगा, तो obviously the what the industrial sector will produce. So raw material तो basically वहीं से आ रहा है. So this is how it has a multi-dimensional impact on the different sectors, the reduction in infrastructural facilities. So अलग-अलग sector पे अलग-अलग impact यहाँ पर पड़ा है. यहाँ पर सिर्फ हमारे पास इतने ही impact हैं, ये 4 points है जो हमने यहाँ पर discuss किए हैं. इसके बाद अगर हम लोग बात करें तो हमारे पास economic पॉलिसी का वेलफेयर और सोशल जस्टिस पे क्या इम्पैक्ट पड़ा. देखिए, हम लोगों ने एग्रीकल्चर के बारे में बात की, हम लोगों ने इंडस्ट्रियल सेक्टर के बारे में डिस्कशन किया. नाउ विल बी टॉकिंग अबाउट दैट हाउ न्यू इकोनॉमिक पॉलिसी इम्पैक्टेड वेलफेयर एंड सोशल जस्टिस. अब यहाँ पर आप देख सकते हैं फॉल इन एग्रीकल्चर प्रोडक्शन ड्यूरिंग द रिफॉर्म पीरियड added to poverty and unemployment in rural areas. Several farmers committed suicide. अब यहाँ पर अगर आप इवन तो यहाँ पर सिलसिला ट्रेजेडी फिट तो नहीं बैठती है, बट मैं आपसे ये जरूर रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा कि आंध्र प्रदेश में एक छोटा सा गांव है जिसका नाम था सिलसिला ट्रेजेडी. सिलसिला नाम है, उसमें एक ट्रेजेडी हुई थी, काफी सारे फार्मर्स ने सुसाइड कमिट किया था बिकॉज ऑफ इंक्रीज इन इलेक्ट्रिसिटी प्राइसेस. जो वुलन प्रोडक्शन जो है वो कम हो गया था, वहां पर अनएम्प्लॉयड हो गए थे. सो वी आर इनडायरेक्टली समवेयर टॉकिंग अबाउट दैट पर्टिकुलर थिंग. तो एग्रीकल्चर प्रोडक्शन से किस तरीके से अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट और पॉवर्टी इंक्रीज होते हैं, यू पीपल नो दिस थिंग वेरी वेल. एंड स्पेसिफिकली व्हेन वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट एन इकोनॉमी which is agricultural based economy like India. Another point is cutting of subsidies increased the cost of production for the farmers, and farming became a loss making business for Indian farmers. So if I talk about Indian economy, then Indian economy, these kind of subsidies are very much needed in Indian economy. So cutting of subsidies on fertilizers, it increased the cost of production of the farmers. अब जो सब्सिडी का बेनिफिट उन्हें होता था, कॉस्ट में रिलैक्सेशन मिल जाती थी, प्रोडक्शन कॉस्ट में डिक्रीमेंट हो जाता था थोड़ा सा, दैट इंक्रीज्ड. एंड फार्मिंग जो है वो वैसे ही इसको गैम्बल ऑफ मॉनसून कहा जाता है, गैम्बलिंग कहा जाता है बेसिकली. तो उनको लॉस होने लगा. दिस इज द वन ऑफ द थिंग. The next point is privatization हुआ. It made the life of workers miserable. They lost job security because government provided the MNCs a hire and fire policy. In case of globalization, hire and fire policy means that if the MNCs, if the multinationals require the labor, then they can hire them. And in case when they are not in need of labor, they can fire them. So this is what we call hire and fire policy, which was, and such kind of relaxations were given by the government to the foreign companies, or the companies which were established and brought in by the government, basically invited by the government. इस तरीके की जो पॉलिसीज थी, उन लोगों ने, उन चीजों ने वर्कर्स की लाइफ को बहुत ज्यादा डिफिकल्ट बना दिया. बिकॉज आप कहीं पर भी कुछ डिक्रीज नहीं कर सकते, तो ज्यादा से ज्यादा क्या करो, वर्कर्स की सैलरी डिक्रीज कर दो. दिस इज द ओनली ऑप्शन विच इज लेफ्ट विद द एमएनसीज. वो कुछ नहीं बोलेंगे. The another point is profit became the only aim of production because of privatization. So the production of socially desirable goods and services is neglected. Now the entrepreneurs, the big industrialists who entered in the domestic economy, our domestic economy, they started producing the luxury goods, the comfort goods, I should say. They didn't pay attention on the goods which are socially desirable, the services which are socially desirable. So such kind of goods and services were neglected because of privatization. Because when we talk about the privatization, the only aim of the owners, entrepreneurs, businessmen is to generate the profit, maximum profit. Another thing is international competition resulted in the decline of small scale industries. So these are the industries which basically involve a small amount of money, small investment, I should say. And these, the areas which were reserved for SSI were opened for LSI as well, large scale industries as well. So the foreign companies also entered there, and their business was totally destroyed because of such kind of relaxations, and several workers became unemployed. आपके कोई गुड्स ही नहीं खरीदेगा, आप compete ही नहीं कर सकते. You are manufacturing handmade products and they are manufacturing machine made products, so there is no competition. Obviously the cost of the foreign goods was very low. The cost of the goods which are manufactured under SSI, the cost was very high. So these were the reasons. The next point is coming up of MNCs created a lot of job opportunities for educated people, especially women. So this is somewhere the positive side, the positive aspect of the MNCs which were introduced, which started in India. तो ये थोड़ा सा एक पॉजिटिव साइड था कि भाई जो एम्प्लॉयमेंट अपॉर्चुनिटीज जो है वो इंक्रीज हुई, और स्पेशली वीमेन के लिए. सो somewhere they were responsible to some extent for gender equality. So that's the point. If we talk about economic growth, GDP growth of an economy ki uska kya impact hua, to obviously there is no doubt in that particular thing that economic growth is measured in terms of GDP, and India's GDP growth rate increased from 5.6% in 1980 to 1991 to 8.2 during 2007 to 12. तो इस फेज में, इस ड्यूरेशन में, इस टेन्योर में ये इतना हो गया, which was the highest at that time. Growth of agriculture sector declined, ये हमें पता है, decline हुआ. इंडस्ट्रियल सेक्टर रिपोर्टेड फ्लक्चुएटिंग ग्रोथ रेट, और इंडस्ट्रियल सेक्टर भी जो है कभी इंक्रीज हुआ, कभी डिक्रीज हुआ. बट एक चीज यहां पर थी, दैट सर्विस सेक्टर हैज ग्रोन रैपिडली. The growth rate of service sector reached to 9.8% in 2014 and 15, which was more than the GDP growth of economy in that tenure. मतलब around 8% जो है इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ रेट थी, और 9.8% जो है सर्विस सेक्टर का ग्रोथ रेट था. सो सर्विस सेक्टर का जो ग्रोथ हुआ वो बहुत ज्यादा था आपके जीडीपी ग्रोथ से. So this is the very important thing which you people need to observe. छोटी छोटी चीजें हैं. हमने बात की एग्रीकल्चर पे इम्पैक्ट की, हमने बात की इंडस्ट्रियल प्रोडक्शन की, we discussed the social welfare, we discussed economic growth, and right now we are getting back to foreign investment. Like you people know this thing very well, that when we talk about foreign investments, then under globalization we invited so many MNCs in India, and they started producing their production in Indian economy by using its own resources, and somewhere they provided ample employment opportunities to the people. Because of their arrival, our foreign exchange reserves were increased. तो ये दो चार चीजें हैं जो आपको दिमाग में रखनी है. And somewhere the farmers were also encouraged to produce cash crop for export market. तो ये कुछ चीजें हैं जो यहाँ पर आई. So let's talk about all such things one by one. So FDI, foreign direct investments and foreign institutional investment, increased from US 100 million US dollars in 1991 to 30 billion in 2017 and 18. इतना increase हुआ. फॉरेन एक्सचेंज रिजर्व, अब ऑब्वियसली अगर कंपनीज आएंगी इन्वेस्ट करेंगी तो डेफिनेटली फॉरेन एक्सचेंज रिजर्व इंक्रीज होगा. आज भी जो है 600 बिलियन के अराउंड जो है ये है. सो 600 बिलियन से ज्यादा है, अराउंड नहीं बोलूंगा मैं, 645 बिलियन के अराउंड है. आज जो है डेट है 2 अगस्त 2021, डेट बताना जरूरी है. सो basically foreign exchange reserve increased from $6 billion in 1990 to 91 to to 413 billion dollars US dollars in 2018 and 19, और आज के टाइम में 645 billion dollars in the year 2021. So, and no doubt that I have told you this thing so many times, अगर आपने previous videos देखे हैं, that India is one of the largest foreign exchange reserve holders in the world. आज की बात करूं तो I think रशिया और इंडिया, ये दोनों, रशिया 4th रैंक पर है और इंडिया जो है 5th रैंक पर है. सबसे ज्यादा जो फॉरेन एक्सचेंज रिजर्व्स हैं वो चाइना के हैं, और ये चेंज होते रहते हैं बेसिकली, लेकिन इंडिया चाइना रैंक 1 पर है, इंडिया 5th रैंक पर है. So one of the largest foreign exchange reserve holders in India, and because of foreign investments, farmers were encouraged to produce cash crops for export market. Farmers export market के लिए cash crops produce करने लगे, and that increase, it resulted in the increase in the prices of food grains in India. अब right now the first part of 4th statement is positive because farmers were able to get good amount of money basically, and the second statement is somewhere the negative one, which is talking about that because of production of cash crops, the food crop production decreased in India. So this is all about the different sectors जिसके बारे में सारी चीजें हमने यहाँ पर डिस्कस की हैं. एक एक चीज के बारे में, disinvestment process during tax reform period, और ये आज भी बड़ा burning issue है, that whether we should disinvest or sell the loss making PSUs. तो ये बहुत debatable issue है आज के टाइम में भी. But in the year 1991-1992, the target for disinvestment was to collect 2,500 crore rupees. By disinvestment, the actual collection was 3,040 crore rupees. In the year 2017 and 18, the target was 1 lakh crores. The actual collection was 1,57 crores. Even though it is in fact-wise, it is looking like that India was able to get good amount of money at that time. But if you'll see, if you'll observe, if you'll conduct a case study on such kind of things, then you would observe that India would be able to generate more and more revenue by the process of disinvestment at that time. But we will not be discussing the related factors over here which are responsible for such a low collection, because you can play with the statistics. आप बड़े आराम से statistics के साथ खेल सकते हैं. So we will not be talking about that particular thing. अभी हमने बात की कुछ अलग-अलग sectors पे इसके impact की, positive, negative. Now there is a criticism against disinvestment policy. So disinvestment के regarding क्या criticize किया जाता है, ऐसे कि assets of public sector units were undervalued. This is what I was discussing with you, and sold to the private sector at low prices. It caused a lot of loss to the government. Now you people may ask, सर जब गवर्नमेंट को लॉस हो रहा है तो कम प्राइस पे क्यों बेचा? बिकॉज अंडर द टेबल सेटिंग हो गई सारी. यू कैन नेम इट करप्शन. सो अंडर द टेबल सेटिंग हो गई सारी. आई विल गिव यू 300 करोड़, आप मुझे जो 3000 करोड़ की चीज है वो मुझे, या 5000 करोड़ की चीज है उसको 3000 करोड़ में दे दो. So that kind of things were there at that time. So corruption is one of the factor which is responsible for that. The money collected from disinvestment was not used for welfare activities. It was used to overcome the revenue deficit. Revenue deficit क्या होता है? Basically, it is a deficit when it is that situation in which the government is not able to, fulfill its consumption expenditure. When the consumption expenditure is more than when the revenue expenditure is more than the revenue income, revenue receipts. तो उसको हम बोलते हैं रेवेन्यू डेफिसिट। सो मोस्टली अच्छा इसके अंदर भी क्या हुआ, डिसइन्वेस्टमेंट में मोस्टली प्रॉफिट मेकिंग PSUs वर सोल्ड टू द प्राइवेट एंटरप्रेन्योर्स एट दैट टाइम. So these are the things which you people need to understand, which are against the disinvestment policy which was followed during the reform period. So ये सारी चीजें थी जिसकी वजह से disinvestment policy को criticize किया गया. इसके बाद हम fiscal policy की बात कर लेते हैं. क्या reforms हुए? Public expenditure on social sector reduced during reform period. आपका fiscal deficit कम करना है तो expenditure obviously कम करना पड़ेगा. Reduction in taxes affected the revenue receipts of the government. Taxes में reduction हुआ. Reduction in custom duties and tax concessions to foreign investors also affected government's revenue. तो इन सारी चीजों से गवर्नमेंट का रेवेन्यू कम हुआ अगर हम फिस्कल पॉलिसी की बात करें. बट ओवरऑल इफ यू टॉक अबाउट द overall collection of the government, then fiscal deficit decreased in that time period. What is the conclusion, all of you? Now everybody wants to be economically independent and well off, regardless of his responsibility towards the family or the society. Loyalty towards the family and loyalty towards the society, which used to be the stronghold of the Indian social culture, are being discarded as useless virtues in the wake of materialism. And right now, like आपको पता होगा एक टाइम हुआ करता था कि एक अगर गांव में कोई पर्सन रहता है तो कोई भी रहता था तो हर पूरे गांव के बारे में मालूम था. एंड टुडे इज अ सिचुएशन देन इन दैट केस कि हमें ये भी नहीं पता कि हमारे ऊपर वाले फ्लैट में कौन रहता है. Even though we people live together, we people stay together, we like ये जो चीज आ गई है over a period of time, you can easily observe such kind of things. तो ये सारी चीजें हैं. Indeed, perusal of LPG policies was to a great extent a matter of economic compulsion rather than a matter of choice for the politicians of the country. However, a compulsion should never mean an abject surrender. It is strongly recommended that LPG policies are pursued with guarded precautions. अपनी कंट्री का भी ध्यान रखिए. आप अपनी कंट्री को बड़े बड़े प्लेयर्स को सरेंडर मत कीजिए. Do not compromise with the economic interest of our domestic producers. उनका भी ध्यान रखिए. Do not become economically subservient to the multinational corporations and channelize FDI. FDI को सिर्फ बाकी सारी KFC, डोमिनोज जैसी चीजों पे मत रखो. उसको इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर जैसी चीजों में रिटेल ट्रेडिंग के अलावा इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में भी लेके आइए. This is the overall conclusion of this chapter. I hope so you people are able to understand it. अगर आपका कोई डाउट है तो आप कमेंट सेक्शन में कमेंट कर सकते हैं. I'll read the comment and I'll reply you. बाकी आप कार्ड सेक्शन में जाके और भी वीडियोस चेक कर सकते हैं या फिर डिस्क्रिप्शन में चेक कर सकते हैं. आज क्लास में इतना ही. मिलते हैं आपसे नेक्स्ट